先の一手。
天道万象岩山八九
直律流内向へと美しきかな。15律流稲光すなわち永遠なり。逃げ道は
天道ここにある。剣女盤石不破よ。
直律流神道の権限。15律流直無我の境地。見切りました。
天道万象岩山八
無限化せよ。15内向へと美しきかな。律流15逃げ道はありません。稲光すなわち永遠なり。 裁きの一
剣女盤石
十分チョック
天道ここにあるはっせっ隙ありは
三内向意図美しきかな律流チョック律流無我の境地逃げ道はあります
天道万象岩山八九
はびこれ狙えよ十分チョック振動の権限律流稲光すなわち永遠なり見切りました
天道ここにある難攻か
十分有限なるライフチョック律流十分無我の境地
Alright, so here we are at the end of the video, or maybe halfway through the video depending on how long each of the explanations for these builds takes. But I know a lot of you commented while watching my last video saying that you wanted me to do a voiceover instead of just sticking a wall of text on screen during each of the builds. And I definitely agree, this is definitely a lot better, allows me to better articulate what I'm talking about in these builds, and it gives a lot more time for you to be able to understand what I'm talking about instead of having to just speed run reading through, 50 billion letters. So, these builds are currently catered to Daahee's characters that she currently has built, minus Dungeon Traveler, but we'll go over that later in the video, explaining what he needs and what his artifacts are. Currently, as of today, Daaheee has been able to clear floor 11 with a full 9 stars, as well as complete the Spiral Abyss and clear floor 12 with 6 stars, which is absolutely phenomenal. And as much as I like to slander her in chat, I'm very, very proud of her, and she's definitely come a long way since when I first met her about a year ago. So let's get started. So the first one we're going to be starting off with here is Zhongli. Zhongli is currently built as a hybrid burst support slash shielder. So currently he's at about 32k HP. Could go a little bit higher, but currently what I have right now I'm comfortable with. So we're just going to stick with that. The current weapon he has is Favonius Lance R4 right now, at least as a hybrid build. this is a very, very good weapon. I believe Favonius weapons, and I think the community overall in Genshin is starting to realize how strong Favonius weapons really are. Favonius lances, for him to get a little bit more energy recharge, he doesn't really need it, being that his burst cost is 40. But this is very, very good for funneling energy to the rest of your team, especially with high energy cost characters such as Raiden and Yae, along with Dendro Traveler that we're going to be going with here in a second. Other good weapons for him are Staff of Homa. That's very, very good for a little bit of an HP boost, as well as higher critical damage. You know, his burst will be doing a lot more. If you're running a full shielder build, you can also run Black Tassel purely for the HP boost. Artifacts he currently has on are 2-piece Tenacity of the Millilith and 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. He's running an HP Sands, a Geo Damage Goblet, and a Crit Rate Circlet. If you want to go for a full HP build, just run HP Sands, HP Goblet, and HP Circlet, and his shield will pretty much never break. He's currently at Constellation 0. His talents are 1, 9, 10. So the next character we're going to be going over is Raiden Shogun. Raiden Shogun is currently built as the standard on-field DPS. Currently her attack is 2100, just about. That is currently because she is in my party in the overworld, and for convenience sake, I wanted her to have in my party because she currently has the Engulfing Lightning as her weapon, which we'll go over later. It converts energy recharge into attack. Now, if I didn't have her in my party in the overworld, her attack would be roughly about 15 to 1600 without her passive active. So, speaking of that, let's go over her weapon. Currently her weapon is R1 Engulfing Lightning, high base attack, great energy recharge, and on the right there you can see how the passive will convert her energy recharge into attack. Another great weapon, especially for Raiden Shogun, is R5 the Catch. It is a completely free polearm that you can get just by fishing. I know a lot of people don't like fishing, takes a little bit of patience, but you can probably get it done in up to R5 in a day if you just went over to your friends' worlds and stole some fish, if they let you. With R5 the Catch, there are a few caveats in terms of what artifacts to run, but we'll go over that in the artifacts section. Other great choices for her in terms of polearms are 5-stars such as the Primordial Jadewing Spear, which provides crit rate, Staff of Homa, which provides crit damage, and Skyward Spine, high base attack along with some energy recharge. However, R5 the Catch will always, due to her kit, provide more value than the 3 previously mentioned. So let's go over artifacts. Currently I have an energy recharge Sands, electro damage Goblet, and a crit rate Circlet. That is because Engulfing Lightning converts energy recharge into attack, so you are pretty much getting more value out of running an ER Sands over an attack Sands. However, speaking of attack Sands, with R5 the Catch, it has a great passive, boosting the crit rate and crit damage of your elemental burst, and it has good energy recharge. However, it has low base attack at level 90 of 510. So in order to balance this out and provide more consistency, it's usually better to run an attack Sands with R5 the Catch. Now, if you want to move on to the next artifact piece, such as your Goblet, you can run either an Electro Damage Goblet, which I currently have on, which most people still run, or an attack Goblet, depending on which one has better substats. Both of them provide pretty much the same value, dependent on substats, as I said before. So you can pick and choose which one you want to put in that slot. And again, the mask, whichever you need more of, crit damage or crit rate, either one is fine. I currently run crit rate because even at 70 to 80% crit rate, her burst may or may not crit, which you'll actually see in the run sometimes. It'll hit for maybe, 100 to 120k, sometimes it'll hit for like 60k, and that's because it just doesn't crit sometimes, and that's part of the game. She's currently at Constellation 0, and her talents are 1, 8, 10. Okay, so the next character we're going to be going over after Raiden Shogun is Yae Miko. Yae Miko is currently built as an off-field damage dealer through her turrets, as well as a little bit of on-field while using her elemental burst with a little bit of elemental mastery there on the side. to be able to provide higher reaction damage as well as a tiny boost to the damage of her turrets. The current weapon she is running is R5 the Widsith. Great critical damage main stat, and the passives there on the right, even though they're RNG based, will be triggered every time she enters the field once every 30 seconds. Any one of those three will boost Yae's damage tremendously, no matter which one is procced. Another great choice is their signature weapon and best in slot, Kagura's Verity, providing an extremely high critical damage main stat, as well as, I believe, a little bit of an underrated choice, the 3-star Catalyst Magic Guide, which has an Elemental Mastery main stat, boosting her turret's damage a little bit and boosting her reaction damage, as well as providing at R5 a 24% boost of damage against enemies affected by Electro or Hydro. Current artifacts that Yae is running are 2-piece Shimenawa's Reminiscence and 2-piece Gladiator's Finale, both providing 18% attack. Great choices, and pretty much the standard choice for a lot of people because Yae does need a decent amount of attack to do a lot of damage. Another great choice that you can run here is 4-piece Gilded Dreams from the Deepwood Memories domain to be able to boost her damage against targets that are affected by Dendro. Currently, her Sands is an attack Sands. She has an electro damage goblet as well as a crit damage circlet. If you wanted to run a trigger Yae for a little bit more Dendro procking, such as in a Quicken or Spread team, you could also swap to an Elemental Mastery Sands running this same artifact sets, or you can also swap to an Elemental Mastery Sands if you are running 4-piece Gilded Dreams. Currently your constellation is 0, and her talents are 6, 9, 8. The reason her normal attacks are leveled up is because I also run her in a trigger sort of build where her normal attacks actually very much help Dendro damage reactions. Alright, so the last character we're going to be going over for your first half team is going to be Dendro Traveler. He's pretty much there just to apply Dendro. He's not going to be the damage dealer or anything crazy like that, but he does have a few stats that he does need to rely on, which is why we're actually going to go into them here. So currently Dendro Traveler, he has about just under 50% crit rate with, as you can see there, roughly 250% energy recharge, and there is a reason for this that we'll go over here in a second. Currently his weapon is Favonia's Sword at R5 with the ability to proc with crits, which is why we have a little bit of crit rate on him to be able to funnel white particles into your team and thus keeping your uptime at a high percentage. He also needs the energy recharge main stat from Favonia's Sword for himself due to his ability to sort of regenerate his energy and get his burst back up a little bit difficult. Roughly his energy recharge, you want to have about 240 to 260% energy recharge in order to be able to keep getting his burst during your rotations. Another decent choice would be Sacrificial Sword to be able to funnel more particles every time you hit his E or his elemental skill to be able to get his burst back up, but it will not provide as much utility to the team. He's currently running 4-piece Deepwood Memories with an energy recharge Sands, a Dendro damage goblet, and a crit damage circlet that I just have on there because it was the only thing I had. But either way, he has enough crits to be able to proc Favonia's Sword, as well as the ability to provide some of that Dendro damage and apply Dendro often enough with the energy recharge Sands in order to proc Aggravate, because that is the team that we are running today. He's currently at Constellation 6. You can just get Constellations by completing the story quests, as well as leveling up your statues of the 7. And his talents are currently 1, 9, 11 for Dendro Traveler. So let's go over your second half team. First character we're going to be starting off with here is Daaheee. Currently has 2,000 attack with 30,000 HP, and she's going to be run in a mono pyro team, basically meaning all pyro units save for Kazuha there, you can see at the top of the screen, right next to Zhongli. Currently Daaheee is a little bit controversial due to her kit, but if you work around her resources and work around what she does, she can definitely work. Currently, her energy recharge is 148.5%. Ideally, if I had better artifacts and better substats, I would probably try to get that energy between 160% to 200%. There's currently not a lot of information on what the sweet spot for her is due to her being so new. However, if you find that sweet spot eventually, just stick to it. Currently, her weapon is Beacon of the Reed Sea, her signature weapon and best in slot, providing high base attack along with a great crit rate main stat, as well as boosting her attack by 40% overall if she takes damage or when she does damage to enemies through the use of her elemental skill. If she's not shielded, she gets 32% HP, which is great because a lot of her kit does have HP scaling. Another good choice of weapon for her in terms of 5 stars would be the Wolf's Gravestone, providing the same base attack, no crit, however a high boost in attack percentage, pretty much foregoing your need to run an attack sands on her, and you can run an HP sands or an ER sands depending on what you need more. Another great choice would be the 4-star Claymore Favonia's Greatsword, providing an energy recharge main stat, as well as whenever she crits, the ability to funnel white particles to both Daaheee and her team, being able to keep your uptime high and thus boosting your overall damage. Currently running 2-piece Crimson Witch of Flames and 2-piece Emblem of Severed Fate with an attack sands, a pyro damage goblet, and a crit damage circlet. There is a bit of a caveat to this. If you currently have C1 or above, her scaling off HP is more effective than attack, but if you have C0, then running the attack sands will overall help her scaling much better and allow her to do more damage optimally. Currently, I'm running these two because I do not have a good 4-piece set of emblem currently for Daaheee, but once I get to that, I would rather swap to that, thus satisfying her energy recharge needs once we get better substats, as well as boosting the damage of her elemental burst through that energy recharge. Current constellation is C0, and her talents are at 188. I didn't level up her normal attacks, even though I can due to me having C6 Bennett, which will overall boost her damage whenever she's on field. Alright, so the next character we're going to be going over in your team is Bennett. Pretty much built standard as your off-field burst support. I just have high HP on him, so he'll be able to tank some damage while he's trying to funnel energy and pretty much just take damage for the team, even though we have Daaheee. His current weapon right now is the Sapwood Blade, providing a energy recharge main stat here. I will 90 this in the future to boost his base attack, to boost my team's overall damage while they're standing in his burst, or if they snapshot any of the stats. Currently we're running Sapwood Blade because out of all the 4 stars, including Prototype, Rancor, and Alley Flash, all 3 of those have the highest base attack for 4-star weapons. If you have any weapons such as the Skyward Blade or the Aquila Favonia, those are also great choices to put on him for that high base attack to be able to boost both his healing and his damage boost while you are standing in his burst. Currently running the standard 4-piece Noblesse Oblige on him with an energy recharge sands, an HP goblet, and an HP circlet. Not really worried about crits, just worried about being able to get his burst up on time every single rotation, as well as making him a little bit tanky. Currently at C6, I actually C6'd him this morning. That was an accident, but it still works. C6 Bennett is completely fine. It only messes up a couple of team comps, but it's no big deal. It's definitely not bad like a lot of people used to think it was. And his talents are at 2, 6, 11. Alright, so the third character we're going over in your second half team is going to be Xiang Ling. She's currently built as your standard off-field pyro burst support. She currently has a 255% energy recharge stat, which is absolutely great for her and she needs, as well as a little bit lower of a crit rate on her burst, but if you can get that up higher, that'd be great. I know your build is better than mine, Daaheee, so that's completely fine. Her current weapon is R5 the Catch, which is great because it provides an energy recharge main stat, along with boosting her elemental burst damage by 32% and her elemental burst crit rate by 12%, therefore mitigating my need to be able to have a little bit higher of a crit rate on her, despite having a higher crit rate on her being better regardless. Another great choice of weapon on her would be Favonius Lance, providing an energy recharge main stat, as well as being able to funnel white particles into the rest of your team whenever she crits every several seconds, therefore being able to keep the uptime of your team in terms of their elemental bursts high, and therefore boosting your overall damage. A good choice as well if you're running her in a reactive team, not mono pyro, would also be Dragon's Bane. Dragon's Bane providing an elemental mastery main stat, therefore boosting vaporize and or melt, or even burning or burgeon damage, whatever team you want to run her in whenever she procs that reaction. Her current artifact set is 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. Absolutely great because her energy recharge cost is high, and it will boost her damage a lot more whenever she uses her elemental burst. You can also run 2-piece, say, Crimson Witch of Flames, as well as 2-piece Emblem, but 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate is their best in slot. She is currently running an Energy Recharge Sands, a Pyro Damage Goblet, and a Crit Damage Circlet. She is currently at Constellation 4. Constellation 4 specifically is extremely strong due to the fact that it boosts her elemental burst duration by 40%, allowing you to keep your rotation smooth and keeping her off-field damage uptime extremely high, and being able to funnel those particles back to pretty much be able to use her burst again right when it ends. Her talents are at 2, 4, 11. Alright, so let's talk about the last character in your second half team, Kazuha. He's pretty much built standard as your normal off-field burst support slash your crowd controller. Currently his weapon is Sacrificial Sword. This will be able to provide a second proc and funnel more energy, as well as give him more energy recharge. The second proc is extremely useful, especially for crowd control, being that there's a lot of mobs in this abyss. Another great weapon choice for him would be Favonius Sword, to again provide those white particles for the rest of your team and giving him energy recharge to help with energy alignment, making your rotation smoother. A lot of people run Iron Sting on him, but forego that energy recharge need, and his burst uptime is not as high. If you're able to run Iron Sting and somehow get energy recharge substats out of your artifacts and have roughly about 160 to 180% energy recharge, go for it. It's a great weapon to boost his elemental mastery, therefore boosting your team's damage with what element he swirls. Currently his artifact set is a 4-piece Feridus Envenerer set. Classic animo damage, shreds enemy elemental resistance with whatever he swirls. Currently running an EM Sands, EM Goblet, and EM Circlet. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. He's currently at C0, and his talents are 6, 6, 8.
I can't tell you how to see me.